10 years old and I'm trying to figure this stuff out. And the answers to these questions provided much of the foundation that helped me to transition from student to professional musician, to public relations executive, to business owner, to mom, and now to a certified life coach. And, there may be other difficult years like this past year, but as I learned in fifth grade, knowing who you are and what you stand for, knowing your true north, that star you can spot in the stormy night sky, is so important to leading a happy and fulfilling life and to preparing you for the bumps that will inevitably come along the way. And so, how do we figure out our true north? I like to start by answering that question by asking you, if you're in front of a window, to look outside of the window at nature. And if you're not, just to imagine that you're looking outside at nature. And nothing in nature, if we really think about it, exists in a straight line. Leaves aren't linear, trees aren't straight, rivers don't flow in a straight line. And so why should we expect that our life should go always in a straight line? And we get upset when it doesn't. But in reality, life is a series of twists and turns. And as soon as we acknowledge that fact, then we can decide how to approach each of those bumps or turns along the way. I'm very fortunate to come from a loving family. My mom is Greek, and so we have tons of food, a lot of loud conversation, and a large extended family. And that was really, really helpful to me at that young age, from third to fifth grade. And it was just such a painful time because girls were downright mean to me in school, and I didn't feel like I belonged at all, like I was on the outside looking in. So how it started was in third grade, I had this great idea to start this sugary snack club of junk food. And that's because snacks in my house, you couldn't find it. My mom said, oh, invite your friends over. You can have carrots and celery, and you can have popcorn. And yeah, popcorn maybe with lots of butter and lots of salt, but not in my house. It was just popcorn. And I was a kid. I wanted junk food. I wanted cookies. I wanted cake. I wanted all of that stuff. So I said, you know what? How can I figure out how to get this junk food? And so I gathered a group of friends who I asked if they wanted to be part of the snack club to bring in their loose change, and I would combine it and we would buy a snack, because together, all of our loose change, we'd be able to afford one snack, and then we'd split it up and we'd laugh and it would be great. And I was popular for a short period of time because this snack club
Vse bo krasno. Tako sem bila nekaj časa zelo.
Very same year, I was overthrown as the leader of the group by a mean girl. And it was just awful. And some of my friends from that snack club, that was no longer, it was now a popular group, they stayed on, some drifted away, and I stayed on for a while. But then it got really, really nasty. These girls were whispering behind my back. They would leave me out at recess. They would be nice to me in the morning and then run away from me in the afternoon. And I was alone. And I just didn't know what to do. The rest of the year was horrible. The following year was a drop better. And then by fifth grade, when I was 10 years old, it resurfaced again. And I cried every day going into school. My mom would counsel me in the morning, and my dad would talk to me at night about human behavior and really how to handle the situation. And the good thing is that they encouraged me to make new, nice friends. And I did, and I tried. And I also got mentally tormented as well. But it all came to a head at the end of fifth grade in the lunchroom. I was carrying my lunch and I was going to sit down with my nice girlfriends. And that leader of the popular group, that very same girl from years ago who overthrew me, she grabbed one arm and she said, come sit with us. And my nice girlfriend said, come sit with us. And there I am in the lunchroom being pulled by both girls like a human tug of war. And they, at the same time, they said, choose. And in that moment, all of these ideas came flooding into my head, and I just knew I had to make a decision, and I knew I didn't want to mess it up. And all these questions, who do I want to be and what do I stand for? Who do I want to be associated with? And in that moment, I chose the nice girls. And I knew deep down that that was the right decision. And it was tough, but I felt strong and I felt in control. And here's the lesson, and the lesson that I have carried with me for the rest of my life. And I think something that we all can be reminded of throughout our lives is I chose who made me feel good by choosing to surround myself with people who made me feel good, who accepted me for who I am and exactly how I was. And I know that this experience is something that unfortunately so many young girls go through. And for me at that time, it was just really, really difficult. And so, in a strange way, I'm actually thankful to the mean girls because it taught me my first fundamental lesson, the importance of being my own best friend. And at any moment, we always have that same opportunity to choose what's right for us and who makes us feel good. Many books have been written about toxic people and about staying away from those people who don't elevate us, staying away from those people who bring us down, who don't lift us up. It's so important to really take a mental inventory of who we're surrounding ourselves with. And so, as it's been said, all meaningful and lasting change begins on the inside and then works its way out. So that's where our journey will begin today, on the inside. And what I'd like to do is take a couple of minutes now and ask you to engage in an exercise. This will be the first of 5, and answer just a couple of questions. If you can write down 1 to 3 people who make you feel good exactly as you are. These can be people who, after you've spent time with them, make you feel fulfilled, uplifted, elevated. Think of who, after you hang up the phone with them, you're happy, after you see them in person, hopefully, these days. Maybe you've taken a walk with them and you feel energized, not drained. And I'd like for you to commit to surrounding yourself with them as much as possible, especially during these times. And email them, text them, you can direct message them, private message them. And I'd like to encourage you to circle one name on your list and call that person. Sometimes we just need a reminder just to reach out and make one phone call. The next lesson I'm going to share is to think about what you're thinking about. As Tony Robbins says, whatever you hold in your mind on a consistent basis is exactly what you'll experience in your life. And I think it's safe to say that we all want, at various times in our life, more joy, more happiness, more fulfillment, more success, peace, love, and connection. So how do we do that? How do we start? So I'm going to start by asking, what is your conversation like with yourself? What words are you using? What stories are you telling yourself? When you pay attention to your inner dialogue, you can be more mindful of the thoughts you're having and the words you're saying to yourself. And when we speak to ourselves in a kind way, it increases that love and connection that we feel internally. It also becomes easier to be kind to others because we're practicing this kindness all the time with ourselves. And like I mentioned, it is a practice. So when our inner voice tells us things to keep us down or hold us back or fills us up with fear, it's important to recognize and to also know that we have the power to change it and to trade in those downer words for thoughts that instead provide love and compassion for ourselves. And when we can do this, it becomes easier to give and receive others, love with others as well. So as Mahatma Gandhi taught us so beautifully, I'm going to share a quote. Carefully watch your thoughts, for they become your words. Manage and watch your words, for they will become your actions. Consider and judge your actions, for they have become your habits. Acknowledge and watch your habits, for they shall become your values. Understand and embrace your values, for they become your destiny. Think about what you're thinking about. It has far-reaching ripple effects. For example, how does it make you feel if you were to tell yourself, I'm too old to do X, Y, and Z? For me, it makes me feel pretty defeated. So instead, what if we turned a negative into a positive and said, you know what, my years of experience give me a tremendous advantage. Or if you're upset that perhaps you make decisions too quickly, it can be changed to, I'm an action taker. I get things done. How does that make you feel? I'm going to guess it makes you feel so much better. So I'd like to share a wonderful technique to mind your mind. That's simple, easy, and you can apply immediately. And I learned this lesson when I was at the parent-teacher night with my husband in my son's 4th grade class. My husband and I were sitting on these little chairs, and there right in front of the classroom was this huge board that was entitled the Yet board. Does anybody know what a Yet board is? I didn't know what a Yet board was. It's where you put the word yet at the end of a sentence. So I'll give you an example. When a student would tell the teacher, I don't know how to tie my shoes, the teacher would have the student go up to the Yet board and write out that sentence and put the word yet at the end of it. I can't solve that math problem would be turned into, I can't solve that math problem yet. And it's such a great way to remind children and us that anything can be accomplished as long as we believe it to be possible. And it's such a simple word that transforms something from a foregone conclusion to a possibility. See things as you want them to be, not as they currently are. Impossible melts away when you add the word yet to the end of a can't or don't statement. Impossible becomes I'm possible. So as you continue your journey, when our time is done today, and you maybe catch yourself saying, you know what, I can't do that, right? I don't know how to do that. I encourage you all just to put the word yet at the end of that sentence. It's a word of faith, of believing it's possible, which is the seed for all accomplishment and transformation. And here's another quick technique that I love that shifts my own perspective to create that kinder inner voice. When I catch myself speaking in a negative way, I stop myself and I say, Jen, how would you respond if one of your friends was sharing the exact same thing with you? And I say to myself, oh, I would be so kind and encouraging. And then I turn around and I say, you know what, Jen, you should be kinder and more encouraging to yourself. And it helps. So the most powerful words we say are the words we say to ourselves. Words are indeed transformational and play a huge role in how we experience things in life. So stand guard your thoughts and words and think about what you're thinking about. I'd like to ask you to try the next exercise with me. And again, I'll give you a few minutes. And I just want to tell you, normally I would spend much more time on this exercise. But in the interest of our time today, I'm just going to give a couple of minutes. So, and certainly if you have any questions afterwards, I encourage you please to contact me through Maya, and Maya has my information, and I'd welcome the opportunity if you have any questions. So for the second lesson today, a couple of questions. How would you rate your self-talk or the way you speak to yourself typically on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the most kind and most loving? And if you've ever spoken to yourself in a negative or unkind way, what are some different, more positive and kinder words you could use? How would having a kinder voice and more patience with yourself impact you? And lastly, what would a kinder voice say to you? The next lesson I'm going to share is be scared and do it anyway. So have you ever been scared of doing something like performing or giving a speech or going on a trip alone or taking a chance on something that you really wanted to do? And you know that feeling you get afterwards when you pushed through that fear and completed it and you came out on the other side? How good does that feel? I mean, I've been scared of doing things more times than I can count. I can list examples that can take us from here until next year. But that's not the point. The point is to recognize that we all have fear, and fear is the only thing that stands in the way of what we want to do. And often it's the fear of the unknown. The only way through is to do. And I was raised on that motto: be scared and do it anyway. And pushing through your fears can also be seen as a form of courage. To quote Nelson Mandela, I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. And my 14-year-old son is a great example. Today, he loves roller coasters and he insists on sitting up front so he can have the most thrilling ride. But 6 years ago, it was definitely not the case. He was so scared, but he really wanted to go on the ride. And so my husband took him on the ride, and as they buckled in their seatbelts, through my son's tear-filled eyes, my husband said to him, "That feeling inside, that's not fear. That's what courage feels like." And he was scared and did it anyway. And up the roller coaster they went, and down they sped. And they were laughing the whole time through. And guess what they did at the end of that ride? You guessed it. They went back on that ride again and again and again. And instead of fear, my son was filled with relief, pride, happiness. And he took that uncomfortable action and did it anyway. I love this quote by American author Marianne Williamson. As she wrote in her famous poem, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. If we hide our light, we will never realize our true potential. Let your light shine bright and illuminate your pathway forward. So to bring this lesson to a close, I'd like to ask you to ask yourself these 3 questions, and I'll give you a couple of minutes. Think of a time when you took that uncomfortable action. You were scared to do something, but you did it anyway, and it turned out well. Maybe even better than expected. How did that make you feel? And is there something you'd like to do now, but fear is holding you back? And what would it feel like if you were able to be scared and do it anyway? The 4th foundational lesson I learned is happy relationships lead to happy lives. And I'll never forget what my psychology professor shared with our class the last day of our senior year upon graduation. He said, if you want to know the secret to a happy life, you must have happy relationships. And I've learned this to be true. Everything in life is about relationships, relationships we have with our parents, our siblings, our children, our coworkers, our family, our friends, but mostly the relationship we have with ourselves. The quality of our life is strongly influenced by the state of our relationships. And most of us spend a lot of time, and rightfully so, working on our relationships to make them fulfilling and the best they can be. But sometimes, despite the effort we put in to a relationship, we know that something's not right, that something's not working in our heart of hearts. And I've always been a relationship person. I've had a few wonderful boyfriends before I met and married my husband, but I understood there was a difference between what I was looking for in a boyfriend as compared to what I was looking for in a husband. And I was 29 years old. I made the very difficult decision to leave a 4-year relationship. And while there was so much good in that relationship, the love and connection, the ingredients really that are essential for a successful romantic relationship, fizzled. And when I looked ahead and forward to our future, I just no longer felt optimistic. And what made this especially hard was that we were living together and I had to move out, and I didn't know where I was going to move. But something I did know. I knew that the longer I stayed in the relationship, the longer and harder it would be for me to find a new relationship that was right for me. So by contrast, the faster I opened myself up to a new opportunity, the sooner I could have a new beginning with new hope. As motivational author Louise Hay shared, the point of power is always in the present. So we can all look back on things in our lives. You know, I wish I did, I could have, I would have, I should have. But most important is to recognize that the point of power is right now, here and now. And we each hold that key, the keys to our own heart and our own happiness to change things and choose what's right for us. And so I didn't know who I was going to meet next or when, but I was clear on what I was looking for: true, heartfelt connection and true love. And so I wrote those down with clarity, and I told everyone I could what I was looking for. And in less than 4 months after the breakup, I met my husband, and we've been together 17 years. And I knew 10 steps into our first date that we would get married. I never told him that until months later, of course. And that's not to say that we don't have our upsets and disagreements, but we've built a strong foundation that when we do get into these upsets and disagreements, they don't grow into anything bigger, because at the core is this love and connection. So for this next exercise, I'd like for you to think about a relationship in your life. It can be anyone. Again, family, friends, children, a romantic relationship, parents, coworkers. And if you think about that relationship, how do you currently feel in that relationship? And how do you want to feel? And I'd like for you to think about what really feels right to you with this last question. How can you invite more love and connection and kindness into the relationship? And I just want to encourage you, it doesn't have to be something big. It could just be one small step. This last lesson is about following your heart. So I think we can agree that when you do what you know in your heart is right for you, it just feels really, really good. There's this internal peace. There's a knowing that you followed what felt right for you in your heart. And it's energizing. And there's a reason why I'm sharing following your heart last as the last of today's 5 lessons, because ultimately, in order to follow your heart, you have to block out all the noise, all of the naysayers, all of the people who maybe, bring you down or don't speak kindly to yourself. And you must carefully mind your mind and be your own best friend so that you can speak kindly to yourself and always lift yourself up and give yourself the confidence to push through that fear. And so I'm just going to give you one more example. I have been playing piano since the age of 6, and I practice several hours a day. And in college, I majored in music so that I could get continue to get piano lessons and get access to pianos 24 hours a day. And as I went through my college career towards the end, when everyone was thinking about, what they wanted to do and what careers they wanted to pursue, I kid you not, I truly wanted to become a rock star. I wanted to wear the awesome, leather bracelets, and I wanted to have, the cool hair and the cool outfits and the leather pants, and I wanted to be on stage, and I wanted to rock out with a band, and I wanted to hear the crowd. I mean, honestly, who doesn't want that? But really the desire was so strong. I mean, this is not a career path that people ask you, they don't put that on the list when you're younger. What do you want to be when you grow up? And rock star is not usually on that list, but for me, it was on my list. And so I knew that if I didn't take action then in my early 20s, that I would always be haunted by that later on in life. And another quote I'm going to share, I love this one, by Mark Twain. 20 years from now, you will be more disappointed by the things you didn't do than by the ones you did do. So after I graduated college, I got a full-time job in the music industry so I could pay my rent, make connections, and at night I would perform at open mic night to get some experience. And then I had a few solo shows of my own. I joined a band, I played the keyboard. We even had a photo shoot. And from that, I was asked to be a piano hand double in one of Martin Scorsese's movies. And I felt like I was on my way. Maybe this was happening. And then when I was 26 years old, my world came crashing down. My dad was diagnosed with terminal cancer and he passed away. And he had been my musical inspiration, and now he was gone. And losing him at a young age just reinforced something I always knew and things that we always hear. Life is short. Life is short. And we need to take that chance. We need to follow our dreams. And what went through my head was, if not now, then when? And so I made the very conscious decision to go all in on my dream. I even got vocal lessons from an incredible teacher who is a vocal coach for Annie Lennox and John Bon Jovi and tons of other famous people. And I wrote more songs, and I even had other musicians joining my bands, and I recorded my own music. I even had my own photo shoot and some articles written about me. And one day while I was standing on the train platform, waiting to go into my day job, that job that, that was helping me pay for my bills, I was overcome with an inspiration to write a song about following my heart. And the song is really about, it's an anthem to myself, to have the courage to do what I know is right and to take the unconventional route. And the key verse in that song that I still think of today, and that I still sing to myself today when I am on the verge of trying something new and I need that extra, sense of confidence, is the lyrics are, I don't want to play by the rules. It's my life and I'm going to choose. It's my life and I'm going to choose. And so am I still living that rock star lifestyle today and writing songs and playing in clubs? No, but following my heart in my 20s by staying true to myself, not only did I get to live out my dreams in that moment, but in a strange way, it gave me the strength and confidence to eventually leave that dream and feel satisfied and complete. That I just, could then move forward to a new dream, to find my soulmate and build a life together. And the best part is, I still have those leather pants. Can I fit into them? That's a different story, but I definitely have those leather pants. So the last exercise I'd like to do with you today is, if you look at your life now, is there something you've been dreaming about doing but haven't done yet? What goal? It doesn't have to be big. It could be something small, but something you've carried in your heart. What goal, if you knew you could accomplish it, would make you feel more fulfilled this coming year? Maybe it's more walks with friends, or maybe it's learning to play an instrument, or starting a book club, or maybe it's starting a business, changing careers, starting or ending a relationship. Remember, it doesn't have to be all or nothing. It doesn't have to be big, though it can be. And I'd like for you to see yourself having accomplished that goal. And how would that make you feel? And just think about one small step you can take towards fulfilling that goal. So to wrap up today, I'd like to leave you with a quote from a woman named Golda Meir. Golda Meir defied all odds by helping to establish Israel in 1948 and later becoming its prime minister in 1969. And not an easy position to be the only female leader in a male-dominated world in the Middle East. And she was a true visionary and doer. And when she was asked what advice she'd give other young, aspiring men and women, she said, trust yourself. Create the kind of self that you will be happy to live with all your life. Make the most of yourself by fanning the tiny inner sparks of possibility into flames of achievement. And I love that, because it speaks first and foremost to being your own best friend. Speak kindly to yourself as you would your own best friend or your own inner child. Mind your mind. Remember that your thoughts are the seeds of your destiny. If you can think it and believe it, you can be it. And when you can control your thoughts and have this awareness that impacts the actions you take, and by being kind to yourself and by facing fear, you're able to face that fear and to beat it, to be scared and do it anyway. Surrounding yourself with enriching and kind relationships that elevate and support you and that don't bring you down. And always remember, happy relationships lead to happy lives. So with these 4 pillars in place, be your own best friend. Think about what you're thinking about. Be scared and do it anyway. Happy relationships for a happy life. You will always be at choice to choose following your heart, to fly, to soar, to discover new horizons of opportunity and fulfillment, to be the best version of you. It is my hope for each of you to remember that any of these 5 lessons to feel empowered. You can use any of these to feel empowered this year, to thrive in 2021 and beyond, to be a kind and loving friend to yourself, to be the best possible version of you, to bring brightness to your world, kindness to your relationship, and to the realization of your dreams. Thank you for allowing me to share with you today. Thank you to Maya and Marian and HOLICENTER Angelica. And thank you so much to Branka for translating for me. And thank you for allowing me to share these key lessons I've learned and that I teach. And I wish you all much success and happiness. Thank you.